What's going on, guys? Welcome to today's episode. Today is a bit of an update. I just wanted to share with you my thoughts on the current RCM Victoria scandal, if you want to call it that. But there is something that's going on at the moment that I feel like I really need to voice my opinion. It's something that I've actually been feeling very strongly about for over about a year and a half now. And I've actually been trying to think of the right time to actually speak about this. And I was contemplating whether I should talk about it after my contest because it does relate to RCM Victoria. And I feel like if I did talk about it afterwards and I didn't perform or do as well as I wanted, I think people would have perceived me as a nobody, just making baseless allegations. I didn't want to say it beforehand because I didn't want to have any excuses coming into it either. And so I was in a difficult position. And what I've been planning is winning the show and then being able to speak my mind. But in light of what's happened, there have been some competitors or ex-competitors have made these allegations against a head coach of ICN Victoria, whether there is some kind of bias or favoritism, as the head coach of ICN is also a posing coach. And so when there are shows that she is judging, some of her clients who are financially supporting her are up there on stage. Before I get into my opinion, I want you guys to form your own opinions. Just based on that, what do you guys think? Do you think that it's okay for a head judge of a bodybuilding competition or federation to also be a posing coach, and whereby she's actually judging her clients on stage, amongst others who may or may not be? Before I get into anything, just want to preface that these are just my opinions as a nobody. Just because I'm a nobody, I don't feel like it should invalidate my opinion any more than anyone else's opinion. First off, this, like I said, is something that I've been feeling. I've been wondering and thinking like, how can I be the only one that feels like this? And I feel like no one's really spoken up about it. But now that there is, I feel like it's a great timing to not so much ride the momentum, but to really chime in my thoughts and provide you guys more info so you can make your own assessments of what's happened. In terms of the events that have transpired, I only know a little bit. And again, coming into this, I want you guys to understand that this is not an attack, a personal attack against anyone, but it's rather this person's status in a particular federation. All the events that have happened, I don't think any of it would matter if they weren't both a head judge and opposing coach. If they were just solely opposing coach, I think it's fair game. I don't think there's anything wrong. I think this person's actually could be very lovely. I know many people that have a high level of respect of her, they really like her, and based on their experiences of her, have nothing but praise. My experience, having only seen her once, is very different, and that's something that I want to share with you guys. And just want to also preface that with my experience, there were probably 8 other witnesses out there, so I'm not just making up a story. So the first time I heard of her was maybe about a year and a bit ago. It's probably like 6 months after I competed. I'm obviously not that into the competitive scene, as you guys know. I don't want to say that to disrespect anyone else that is also going there to compete. My reasons to compete are a little bit different. For me, I've already reached what my fitness goal is, and competing is just for me to put myself in that zone of discomfort. It's easy for me, someone who has been going to the gym for about 10 years, to tell someone, hey, yeah, just rock up to the gym. It's easy. But it's the process of going outside your comfort zone, and competing for me is just an arbitrary goal of me going outside my comfort zone. And the reality is, I don't really have a reason not to compete. And this is what I say to everyone: unless you have a reason to not compete, I think that you should, because that's where you really get to learn a lot about yourself, because you have to make sacrifices and choices and decisions that most regular people aren't willing to make for the purpose of their personal development. I'm not saying that competing is the hardest thing in the world. I think everything has its own difficulties, but competing requires you to make a lot of sacrifices that, the general population aren't willing to make. And honestly, with competing, it could literally be career changing. And depending on how some of these competitors place, could determine the outcome of their career. And so, especially in a sport where it's so heavily subjective, we want to try to minimize the subjectivity as much as possible and try to be as objective, because why would anyone want to commit their heart and soul and effort and make these sacrifices if they're going to be subject to, biased opinions or favoritism? And I want to also preface that I myself, I'm not accusing that there is any favoritism. I genuinely don't think there is favoritism, but I also think that the person who's in this position as a head judge, I believe that they genuinely think that they are objective and unbiased, but I'm saying that that's impossible, because there's always going to be a bias. If you are in a crowd of thousands of people that you don't know, your eyes would always attract you to familiar faces, because we are humans based on pattern recognition, and as soon as we identify patterns, it's likelier that we're safe. It's easier for us to be around those that we actually know, because it's going to minimize the risk of us being in danger. That's just human nature. And so I believe that people believe that they are objective, but given the circumstances, especially when someone's financially supporting you, even though you're wearing two hats as a head judge and opposing coach, the reality is you're interacting with someone maybe on a weekly basis, and you build a relationship with them, and you're going onto a stage with 15 to maybe even 20 other contestants sometimes, your eyes are naturally gonna draw to the people that you are familiar with. And that is on an unconscious level. I just feel like in a competition, the judgment is very subjective. We wanna try to be as objective as possible. I think it's up to the federation to actually minimize any exposure to the potential of accusations that there could be any favoritism. And now, guys, I wanna share with you my interaction of this particular head coach. One of the coaches from Achieve Championship, Ethan, he was actually gonna get posing lessons, and we all went to that gym. And that was my first interaction with her. As soon as I walked into the room, she asked me if I was competing. I said, yes, I'll be competing next year. She asked me who my posing coach was, and I said it was Manoj. And her first response was, who? And I thought when she said that, she didn't know who he was. And then she followed up with, just because he has PRO in his name, who is he? Now, she didn't say that she was a head judge, but that's what she was alluding to by downplaying someone else's status. I think that's honestly what's wrong with this community right now. There's this elitism, and people feel like they have to be part of this inner circle to be favored, and which is what it feels like. Can you imagine anyone who is coming into this scene and they don't know anything about this industry? They understand how fitness has made a big change in their life, and now they're looking to compete because they want to be the best version of themselves, and they obviously want to do well, and they talk to any coaches, and any coaches would say, hey, this particular posing coach, she's actually a head judge as well. And so even if there's no direct advantage, there is an implied advantage because of her status. And I feel like contestants are pressured to select that option. In my opinion, I feel like the standard could be higher, but again, I'm a nobody. So that's just my opinion. And so I wanted to do things myself. I wanted to bring my own flavor. And that's actually what I spoke to Virak as well. Virak, you guys would have seen on the previous episode. I actually gave him the option. I told him what my opinions were, but I never stopped him. I said, Viz, this is your competition. You're free to go with whoever you want for your posing. And if you want to go down that route, you go down that route. There's no judgment from me, because this is your competition. And that's what I feel like is a standard of this federation. It's some of the poses, they kind of look silly. You have to put into perspective that divisions like men's physique, it's men's physique. It's the division that most men should want to look like, but the way that they make you pose, making you stand like a teapot, like people don't want to stand like that. They have to understand like posing is like poetry in motion. It's about showing off the things that you have done, and it has to represent who you are. And it's not just about doing these weird poses that you don't really understand. I just told Viz, look, I don't want to be the one that's standing on the sideline, just being a backseat driver. I have an opinion on how we should do this, and if you're down to rock and roll, let's do it. And Viz was down to rock and roll, and honestly, like on stage, I would say Viz's posing was really a standout, and he did well. I had no doubt that he was going to do well. However, it's hard to shake that feeling that maybe we're disadvantaged because we didn't go down that route. Does that make sense? Like after what this head judge said to me, I refuse, honestly, to go down that route. I would rather place lower, do what I can, bring what I am happy with, rather than feel like I'm forced to make that decision. And I can 100% empathize and understand what these other contestants are going through. Now, do I agree with the way they're approaching it? I don't know enough about the whole situation, so I'm not gonna speak about their part. I'm gonna speak about my interaction. I didn't bother trying to get too much information. And the way I see things is they either voiced their opinions in a diplomatic way, or that's from what I've seen from the comments I have read, or people I've spoken to say that it's bullying, that they've gone too far and they're berating her. The way I see it is, my position on these type of things have actually changed. During one of the lockdowns, I didn't quite understand the idea of protesting and how some people are taking it too far. But I honestly feel like sometimes that is the catalyst that's needed for actual change. Because surely this is not the first time that this has been raised. And surely I'm not the first person that's thought about this. And maybe it's been brought up previously, but because of the voiceless, they haven't been able to voice their opinions or be heard and for action to take change. And now these people are standing up for themselves, and what I've seen as well, other coaches are also expressing that they felt the pressure of having to guide their contestants down a particular route because of that as well. Whether these accusations from these contestants of what this head judge has said to them was true or not, that's not for me to comment. Like, I don't think we'll ever know, okay? And I think that there could be some truth to it, but I also think there could be some bending of the truth. This is just my account and my experience of what I went through. And so it does somewhat corroborate to what they're mentioning. So you guys form your own opinions. I think there's two components to this. Whatever comments that they made, I feel like they are entitled to make those comments. However, when you're in a position of a head judge, there's a certain standard that needs to be upheld. And you represent the business at all times, even when it's your time off. For example, right, they're a head judge, and you might say that on weekdays, they're free to do whatever they like, but they went and did something like, for example, run on the road and streak, or assault someone. And now the headlines is ICN head judge accused of, like, you know what I mean? Like, they'd probably get fired for that because they represent the brand. And so it's the same thing. When you are opposing coach, you represent yourself as a head judge of that federation. You can't just decide when to turn on and off these hats. And it shouldn't be relied on your honesty to be a judge. And things should be as objective as possible. And I think it's up to the federation. I think it's the federation's fault that they exposed this particular person. And I think that it sucks that this person is collateral, but it might be collateral for the change that we actually need. Because I want the federation to get better. I want more mainstream appeal. I want more people to know about it. And I feel like the only way more people are going to know about it is if these things change. There's standardized judging, and that people know that they can put their heart and soul into it and they're going to be judged fairly. I think that's what people need. Right now, it feels like a school contest that you bring your parents to, where your teacher that's also teaching you is also the judge as well. And that's the only place that would happen. You wouldn't see this in any other sports, right? Right now, the World Cup is going on. You wouldn't see that in the World Cup. The referee is part of the actual team. They're under this team's particular payroll. Imagine you guys go to court and it turns out the judge is actually related to the plaintiff, your opponent, or your opponent knows someone in the jury. That would be considered a mistrial. And so standardized judging, that it needs to move in that direction. Whether these comments towards this person or these statements, I think they're also entitled to that. If that is the case, and those were the comments that were made, I think that we should be entitled to be vocal about how we were spoken to. That's my opinion. If they didn't say anything wrong, I think the issue is whether these statements are true or not. But if the statements are true, I feel like they're all within their rights to be able to say that, especially if they came from a person of status like the head judge of a bodybuilding competition, okay, or federation. Look, guys, that's just my opinion as a nobody. And when I spoke to someone about this to check to see if it was the same person, one of the first things that they said to me was, yeah, it's a bunch of people that no one's even heard of and ex-competitors who place poorly. And I thought to myself, like, that's exactly what's wrong. That's exactly what's wrong with this community. The fact that these people are considered nobodies and that suddenly their opinions are any less valid. And that was one of my hesitations of voicing it. Because, like, why would people care if the comments came from a nobody? We've got to be objective about what we hear and shouldn't just take people's word for it just because of their status. It's the same principle that we are valuing someone's status more than the value that someone is actually providing. Anyway, guys, that is it. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Just wanted to share with you guys my thoughts and feelings on this, but I'll be interested to know, do you think it's fair for any federation, for any sport, for the head judge to also be opposing coach, and that they are judging a pool of contestants in which their clients are also there as well? I'm interested to know. Anyway, guys, next episode of YouTube will be out in the next couple of days. I am going to be bumping up the frequency. And if any of you guys are new to the channel, like and subscribe. We're uploading shorts every weekday and also aiming for 2 YouTube videos a week. All right, guys, that is it. Peace.